I am Sudarshan Kaushik, and in this video I am going to tell you how diesel engines work. But I would recommend you that you watch my previous video on petrol engines before watching this video. By doing this you would understand many things like the sliding crank mechanism I explained in the last video. So before talking about diesel engines, I want to talk about a bit of a history here as to why were the diesel engines created and what was the special reason behind inventing them. So let's get started. Petrol engines at that time, which was around the 1980s, were very less fuel efficient. The fuel efficiency of the petrol engines were only 20%, which meant that from all the fuel that went into the engine, only 20% was used to make the power. Diesel engines were invented by Rudolf Diesel. Once when Rudolf Diesel was studying about how petrol engines work, he wanted to make an engine that could achieve the theoretical efficiency of the Carnot cycle petrol engine. So he tried to accomplish the same and made the diesel engine. Talk about diesel engines a bit. So diesel engines in general are beefy, high torque and low horsepower engines. That's why they're used in trucks. So let's learn how they work. We're going to be starting with the strokes in an diesel engines. So diesel engines also have 4 strokes like a petrol engine. The strokes are the intake stroke, the compression stroke, the power stroke and the exhaust stroke. Except the power stroke, all the strokes in the diesel engines are same as the strokes in a petrol engine. The next thing we're going to talk about is the compression ratio in an engine. So to understand diesel engines, you need to understand compression ratio. The compression ratio is a ratio of the volume of the cylinder to the volume between the top dead center and the bottom dead center. Well, what is the top dead center and the bottom dead center? Top dead center or TDC is the position of the piston when the piston is at the topmost position in the cylinder, which means it cannot go any further up. Whereas bottom dead center is the position of the piston when the piston is at the bottommost position in the cylinder. Just to give you a bit of more understanding here, I'm giving an example. Assume that a piston has a volume of 19. I'm not mentioning any units here to keep it simple. If the volume between the top dead center and the bottom dead center is 18, the compression ratio will be set to be 18:1. Let's see the difference of compression ratio in diesel and petrol engines. Petrol engines can have a compression ratio of anywhere between 13:1 to 14:1, whereas diesel engines have a compression ratio of around 14:1 to 22:1. This means that a diesel engine compresses more air than a petrol engine, and as we know, the more you compress anything, the more heat is exerted from it. This also means that diesel engines tend to run hotter in the compression and the power stroke than petrol engines. Start with the strokes of a diesel engine here. The first stroke is the intake stroke. During the intake stroke, the diesel engine does the same thing as a petrol engine. The only difference is that it takes in a mixture of only air as an intake, whereas in petrol engines they take an intake of air and fuel mixture. Now let's skip the compression stroke and directly talk about the power stroke. The power stroke is the main difference between a petrol and a diesel engine. It has a fuel injector instead of a spark plug, which you could tell right away by looking at the picture. In the power stroke, the air, which had been compressed to raise its temperature, ignites the fuel when it is injected into the cylinder by the fuel injector. This is why diesel engines are also known as CI engines, which in full form means compression ignition engines. I hope you understood what I taught today. If you have any queries about engines, then do make sure to drop a comment below. I'll surely be answering the comment. Please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.